Inside the Magic, show number 426 for June 2nd, 2013.
This is Pat Carroll, and I just wanted to say you better listen, because this is Inside the Magic, darling.
This poor, unfortunate
It is Sunday, June 2nd, 2013. This is show 426 of Inside the Magic, and as always, I am your host, Ricky Briganti. As you just heard, we've got a great special guest for this week's show coming up a little bit later, but also lots and lots of really exciting news from the world of theme parks this week. So before we get to all of that, I invite you to visit our website over at InsideTheMagic.net. There you'll find all of our podcasts, videos, photos, news, articles, and a whole lot more. And if you ever have any news, tips, questions, comments, or anything else you want to send in, you can email me at ricky@InsideTheMagic.net, or you can call and leave a message at 407-494-4ITM. That's 4486. And now, let's get on with the show. This week's episode of Inside the Magic is brought to you by Magical Travel. There is a special place where kids can train to be a pirate with Captain Hook while parents are off lounging the day away at an adult-exclusive pool. Let Magical Travel help you plan the perfect Disney Cruise Line vacation for your family with free shipboard credit with each booking. You're going to want to book now for the best availability and pricing by calling Magical Travel today at 866-207-8387 or visit them online at magicaltravel.com to receive a free price quote, and be sure to mention Inside the Magic when you're contacting them to receive your free Disney gift card for qualifying bookings when you book your Disney vacation with Magical Travel. And of course, thanks very much to all of our contributors to the show, one-time donations, recurring monthly donations, or anybody clicking through any of the affiliate links like Amazon.com over on InsideTheMagic.net. It all supports this show and everything that I do. So thank you very much for all of it. And now, let's get started with a trip around the world. So lots of excitement to get to this week, and we're actually going to be starting outside the world of Disney because the most exciting things that have been going on in the world of theme parks this past week have happened over at Universal Orlando. In fact, just yesterday, the new Simpsons area, or at least a part of it, opened. It's only been a little bit more than a week since Universal Orlando first announced the Springfield expansion of the Simpsons ride area. They're calling it Fast Food Boulevard, or at least the part that opened yesterday, and Marge and Homer Simpson were there to mark the opening sort of moment, if you will. Of course, the area includes quite a lot to eat and drink and explore, including Moe's Tavern, Krusty Burger, Cletus's Chicken Shack, the Frying Dutchman, Luigi's Pizza. It's been under construction for a while, but now it's there and it's open. Of course, I've posted plenty of pictures and video over on our YouTube channel and InsideTheMagic.net as well. Let me kind of run through the basics of what all of this is, because it is really a nice area, but it may not be exactly what you think, because from the outside you see sort of these facades of familiar places from the world of The Simpsons. As I said, Moe's Tavern, Krusty Burger. Looks like on the outside you'll be able to go inside these, and some is true, some not so much, because as you step inside, it's actually taking the place of a former quick service restaurant there, and it's got the same basic flow as it always did, but a complete overhaul in terms of the look. So there's still a row of quick service counters that are each individually themed to the different locations that I just said, and they each serve their own unique food. The team members there are wearing their own costumes themed to each of those Simpsons locations, but it's not every single one of these has their own actual building that you can walk in. It's kind of just like a sampling of this and that as you go through. Of course, the exception to that, and the most amazing part of all of this that I definitely will be spending quite a lot of time in, is Moe's Tavern, because that one they really have built. Moe's Tavern from The Simpsons at Universal Studios, Florida. When you step inside Moe's Tavern. It is really, really well done, from the green walls and the pool table in the middle of the room, and a bar, of course, that you can pull up a stool and sit at. And at the end of the bar, Barney is always there. He's kind of looking depressingly into a almost empty glass of beer, naturally. I haven't heard him belching there yet, but he's always there. You can get a picture with him. It's sort of a statue of him, not a walk-around character or anything. And, of course, the signature beverages that you can purchase there. Duff beer, real alcoholic Duff beer brewed for Universal Orlando, as well as a Flaming Moe. Of course, I don't drink beer. I don't even like beer, but I still had to order one yesterday. There's actually 3 varieties of Duff beer. There's dry, light, and regular. And I got a regular, and like I said, I don't really drink beer, so I found it to be really, really bitter. I ended up taking like 3 sips and giving it away to somebody. But I can now say that I have gone to Moe's Tavern and ordered a Duff beer, which is pretty cool. I actually enjoyed the Flaming Moe much more, which is this, it kind of tastes just like orange soda. It's not that unique of a drink, but it comes in a special Flaming Moe glass, and it does smoke. It's not on fire. It's not even a hot drink, nor is it purple. Definitely doesn't have any cough syrup. But it's a nice, cool orange soda-type drink, but they put dry ice at the bottom of it that makes it bubble and smoke, and that's a lot of fun. So it's definitely an enjoyable environment to be in, and just to hang out and, visit Moe's Tavern. Who doesn't want to do that? Then, of course, there is Krusty Burger, which on the outside looks just like a Krusty Burger should, as seen in the Simpsons TV show. But then when you get inside, you realize that it is just a seating area for the food court, or the fast food boulevard, as they're calling it. There's a mural of the Simpsons sort of evolution from caveman days to today. And a whole lot of orange and red seating. It's, well-themed seating area for Krusty Burger, but it doesn't, you can't order right there as you walk in. You actually have to go over to the food court area, as I said, to order from the Krusty Burger menu, which, of course, naturally, I had to get a Krusty Burger. How could I not go to all of this and not order the Krusty Burger? And I did get that. Came with curly fries. The Krusty Burger is certainly lives up to its reputation on The Simpsons. It may not be the unhealthiest burger in the world, as Krusty always liked to put it, but it is pretty darn greasy, and I could only finish half of it because it was so greasy. It tasted good, though. The patty was a little dry, but there's a secret sauce on it, which is pretty good. They also, instead of putting slices of cheese, they actually put, like, Cheese Whiz type cheese on there, like, gooey cheese sauce cheese, which is interesting, and they skewer a pickle on top. Anyway, it's a, decent burger for being in a theme park. Not outstanding, but, halfway decent. Other locations throughout this fast food boulevard are Cletus's Chicken Shack. Of course, Cletus, the slack-jawed yokel from The Simpsons. He's got his own eatery with lots of chicken items. I haven't tried those yet, but I hear the chicken and waffle sandwich is really good, as is the double battered chicken. There's also the Frying Dutchman, naturally, and that serves seafood, so I won't be trying a whole lot there. I don't like seafood, but I'm sure it's a bunch of fried seafood like everything else. Luigi's Pizza is there. The pizza actually looked pretty good. Again, I haven't had a chance to try it yet. I'm going to have to go back and try a lot of these things, because the food offering is definitely wide and varied. There's a cheese pizza and a meat pizza and a vegetarian pizza, and really didn't look too bad. Then there's a separate stall just called Flaming Moe's, so if you don't go to Moe's Tavern, you can actually order the same Duff beer as well as the Flaming Moe in this other sort of little kiosk area, if you will, along with 3 other specialty drinks, which I definitely want to try soon. There's an apple drink and a couple of other fruit drinks, as well as Buzz Cola is also served in Moe's Tavern and here. And then my favorite title and sign of this whole area is Lisa's Tea House. But then written underneath it says of horror. So it's Lisa's Tea House of Horror. Of course, a tribute to the Tree House of Horror episodes of The Simpsons, which were always my favorite. And everybody's hoping now that this is at Universal, they're going to have, some sort of tie-in to Halloween Horror Nights there. I don't know. We'll see. But the Tea House of Horror is basically serving grab-and-go kind of items. Pre-made sandwiches, salads, a little bit on the healthier side than everything else. Once you pick what you want, you take it over to the register, and near there they have some variety of cupcakes, as well as Lard Lad donuts, which are ginormous pink donuts, as you might expect. The other part that has quote-unquote opened to this area is the Androids Dungeon and Baseball Card Shop, which of course is where the comic book guy is, but at Universal Orlando you won't find any of that because the Androids Dungeon is really just a highly themed wall. It's not even really a facade because on the other side of it is absolutely nothing. There's just a pathway. It's literally just a wall, and then there's some restrooms over there. So don't expect to explore the comic book guy's store, unfortunately, but that's just the beginning of the Simpsons Springfield expansion of this area at Universal Studios Florida. They're still working on construction of the Duff Brewery Gardens area, Jebediah Springfield statue, a Lard Lad statue will be there, and a Twirl and Hurl ride featuring those aliens, Kodos and Kang from the Treehouse of Horrors episode. So all of that apparently is going to be done within a month or so. That's what they're aiming at. So very rapid construction going on there. Universal's certainly cranking out some fun experiences. Again, if you want to see video exploring Moe's Tavern, Krusty Burger, and the rest of all of that, and lots of photos, head over to InsideTheMagic.net. While we're talking about Universal Orlando, though, of course, I must say that Transformers The Ride 3D, awesome. It has soft opened this week here in Universal Orlando. Of course, it's been open for a year now, a little over a year now at Universal Studios Hollywood, even longer than that, about a year and a half in Singapore. So this is not really anything new. I've talked about it at length on this show before last May in 2012 when it opened there. So I'm not going to go into terrible detail now here other than to say it's probably the best one yet. It doesn't officially open until June 20th. However, they're in pretty much daily soft openings at this point, inching its way closer and closer to park opening. It started late at night, and then it's moved, I think today it's soft open around 2 p.m., so it seems like it's going to be a daily occurrence at this point. Out in the front of Transformers The Ride 3D, a really impressive, huge 28-foot tall statue of Optimus Prime. That marks the entrance of the attraction. It is amazing. Definitely the best looking themed entrance to any of the versions of this ride around the world. Of course, there's a marquee sign, plenty of Autobot symbols around the whole area, and as you work your way through the queue, it's very, very similar to the one in Hollywood. Of course, you're inside the Nest facility and inundated with wonderful videos throughout the queue that are explaining everything about the Transformers if you're not familiar with it, from what is Nest, what does it stand for, who are the characters, they introduce themselves, they talk to you, you see them on the video, what's going on, what is the Allspark, etc., etc. Of course, you can see a piece of the Allspark right there in the queue, and that is what the Decepticons are after, and that's why they are attacking Earth. Of course, the Autobots are there to help save the world and save the Earth, along with your own help, because you are the recruits for Nest by going there. And I think there's actually a new queue video for this version that's playing outside in the very long extended queue for this ride. That is pretty fun. The ride itself, of course, is very, very similar to Spider-Man in terms of the ride vehicles. Once you get on board, it's a similar sort of flow. The ride vehicles look almost identical to The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man over at Islands of Adventure. However, it's a much bigger, better, in my opinion, more immersive, sort of draws you into the world of these giant virtual screens, 60-foot tall screens, I think. Really, really impressive. Again, I talked about it extensively last May here, and I'm sure I'll talk about more once I get a chance to do some interviews in a couple of weeks when I go to the grand opening of this ride. But for now, if you're excited about Transformers The Ride 3D, which of course I am very much, you can head on over to Universal Studios Florida now. Not officially, not definitely, it is still technical rehearsals. It's not guaranteed to be open, but most likely on a daily basis you'll find your way into Transformers at some point. Of course, Universal has also put up some details about exclusive ride times for annual pass holders of Universal Orlando. If you show up between June 9th and June 16th at 8 a.m. before the park opens, you'll get 1 hour of exclusive ride time on Transformers. That'll be a good opportunity to sort of skip the craziness, because even on the very first soft opening night, the wait time was posted up to 90 minutes. I waited in that line, only actually had to wait about 60 minutes, but it's, they've got single rider. Eventually they'll have express. They're not using that quite yet. But definitely a really, really fun, great attraction. I've, again, posted plenty of photos and video walking all the way through the queue over, and of course the ride itself, over at InsideTheMagic.net and on our YouTube channel, so if you want to see what it's like. And also compare to the videos that I put up last year from the Hollywood version. Very similar. I think, the Orlando version's made some tweaks, pretty subtle here and there, sort of the flow of everything, the look of the building, some minor tweaks as you're going through the ride, that really, overall, the experience, I think, the one out here in Florida is the best one yet, which I'm excited about because I'm a big Transformers fan. So There it is. That's all for Universal Orlando for the moment. I'll kind of circle back to them here shortly because I do have more to share about that. However, now we're going to turn our attention to Walt Disney World over at the Magic Kingdom, where just a couple of days ago, the interactive experience known as A Pirate's Adventure Treasures of the Seven Seas has officially made its debut. It's been testing for a number of weeks now throughout Adventureland, and in this experience, which costs nothing extra, it's included with park admission, you get a pirate map, and you can embark on 5 different raids throughout Adventureland, joining Captain Jack Sparrow to fight off the Royal Navy, Captain Barbossa, Headhunters, Curses, and even Calypso, the sea goddess. And there's lots of sort of pop-up and animated things to see, props and decorations and whatnot throughout Adventureland. So it's more like the Kim Possible or Agent P World Showcase adventure over at Epcot than it is Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom. So I'm looking forward to going and trying that pretty soon. I wanted to hold off until it was officially open because I didn't want to get sort of a kind of sort of version of it where the effects weren't working. I just wanted to see it all as it should be. So I will definitely head over to the Magic Kingdom soon, and then I'll talk about my thoughts on how it goes. Anyway, moving over to Disney's Hollywood Studios now, Candice Glover, Season 12 winner of American Idol, if anybody was actually watching. She visited Walt Disney World this week, posing with Mickey Mouse at the American Idol Experience attraction, of course. This time around, there was no motorcade, no special singing performance. Press wasn't even invited to see her there. It just kind of happened. So it's clear that American Idol is dwindling in popularity, particularly Disney's involvement there. I wouldn't be surprised if the American Idol Experience disappeared sometime in the near future. But she was there. I've got a little bit of video and photos if you want to see it over at InsideMagic.net. There wasn't even an "I'm going to Disney World" commercial. She did appear on stage apparently as a surprise appearance for one of the performances of the American Idol Experience, but that's about it. And she recorded some bits for the attraction. Now, here's some news from Walt Disney World that has everybody up in arms over the last couple of days. Starting today, ticket prices have gone up at Walt Disney World and Disneyland. It follows Universal Orlando recently raised their ticket prices, and now Disney has raised theirs even higher. And for the first time, they're actually differentiating theme parks out here at Walt Disney World, which is interesting. The Magic Kingdom one-day park ticket is now $5 more than Epcot, Hollywood Studios, or Animal Kingdom. Very odd. Magic Kingdom single-day ticket now $95. Getting very close to that $100 mark. It's only $90. Well, I say only loosely, but it is $90 for the other 3 parks out here. Meanwhile, in California, $92 for a one-day, one-park ticket for either Disneyland or Disney California Adventure. So, you can read into that, and almost like Disney's saying, hey, we know Magic Kingdom's the best park, so we're going to charge the most for that. And then, Disneyland and DCA are not too far behind that, so those would be $92. And then we've got Epcot and we've got Hollywood Studios, we've got Animal Kingdom, so we'll charge less for those. I'm sure it was reflecting on attendance numbers. Where are people going the most? Magic Kingdom's been number 1 on the list of most attended theme park in the world for many, many years now, and I'm sure that will continue. In fact, the TEA's attendance report is due out any day now. It very well may come out tomorrow. It'll certainly be interesting to see where all that lines up with these ticket price increases. To go through a few more of these, including one particularly controversial one. For example, a 4-day, 1 park per day ticket has gone up out here at Walt Disney World from $256 up to $279, so a $23 increase there. Being able to add the park hopper option to your pass has risen by $2 a ticket. A 4-park annual pass has gone up to $609 for non-Florida residents or $464 for Florida residents. About a $20-something increase there. Out in California, the deluxe annual pass for Disneyland Resort has gone up to $499 from $469, and the premium, which has no blackout days and includes parking, has gone up from $649 to $669. The parking costs have gone up $1 on both coasts as well. And then here's the one that everybody is just blown away by. Remember that Premier Pass, the one they introduced a few years ago, I think in 2010, at $700. That would get you annual pass, the top-of-the-line annual pass for both Disneyland and Walt Disney World. $700 then. Now, as of today, $979. It's almost $1,000. It's almost a $300 increase in just 3 years for this Both Coast Pass. And really the reason behind this is because there are just far too many Disneyland annual pass holders out there. There's lots and lots of them. It's crowded every day at Disneyland, and this is Disneyland's way. You know, they've been increasing the prices. Last time they did a price increase was a pretty big one for Disneyland again this time, and they're really trying to bring that annual pass holder concentration down because it is getting quite crowded, making it difficult for tourists to have a good time. So anyway, I'm not thrilled, of course, nobody's thrilled by price increases, but it's understandable, it's justifiable. Competition, they want to answer to Universal and SeaWorld as they raise their prices. Of course, they want to make a profit too, and they have things to pay off, California Adventure expansion and refurbishment, new Fantasyland, whatever's coming in the future, etc. I don't know, that Premier Pass increase seems like a whole lot, and especially when they're starting to take away benefits. Like, I downgraded from the Premier Pass to the Premium Pass, so I got rid of the Disneyland annual pass because I knew I wasn't going to be going there quite as much as I was now that the California Adventure thing sort of ended. The refurbishment, I'm not going to be going quite as often. Sure, I'll still be going a couple of times a year, but not quite as often out there. Certainly, I'll be attending the Walt Disney World parks a lot out here, but now, this time around, I'm even going to downgrade from the Premium Pass to the just sort of the regular Florida Resident Annual Pass, because the Premium Pass used to offer 20% merchandise discount out here in Florida, and now it only offers a 10% discount, just like the regular one. So I don't really have it's basically access to Disney Quest and the water parks is the only reason to get the other ticket, and I don't really do either of those very much. So, Disney, by raising these prices, taking away benefits, is actually, for me, losing some of my money, and I'm sure that's going to be the case for many people as well. Seems like a bad move in that respect, but anyway, nothing you can do about it. People will still be paying for these tickets. I'm sure there's a breaking point at some point, maybe that $100 mark, I don't know. But yeah, once again, ticket price increases. Meanwhile, speaking of things Disney is spending money on, the MyMagic Plus and Magic Band programs, that seems to be in the near future for Walt Disney World. There's still no date as to when those are going to be coming out officially. But at the 11th D All Things Digital Conference this week, Walt Disney Parks and Resorts Chairman Tom Staggs was there and gave an interview / presentation about MyMagic Plus and the Magic Band technologies. This, of course, is a techie crowd. They were talking about wearable computing and products like Google Glass, but in this case, you're talking about the Magic Band. And Staggs sort of said a few things that were new details about the Magic Band system, including noting that a variation, as he put it, of this new system will eventually make its way to Disney theme parks worldwide. It's not only for Walt Disney World. It's going to begin out here at Walt Disney World, but depending on the audiences around the world, he said, they'll make changes to it and have a version of MyMagic Plus or Magic Band around the world. So you Disneyland folks out in California, be prepared. You're probably going to see this sometime after Walt Disney World is done rolling it out. Of course, this whole system is designed to have a lot more personalization of your trip, be it booking restaurants or specific meals ahead of time before you go there. You order in advance, have it ready when you get there, or you'll be able to book ride times in advance, kind of fast pass from home. But in addition to that, other tidbits that Staggs revealed during this interview / presentation is that characters will be able to greet you by name, including, he specifically said, talking Mickey Mouse. The Mickey Mouse that has been interactive, having a conversation with people, hasn't rolled out yet in the parks. But it sounds like that is going to be part of all of this. They want Mickey to be able to personally greet you when you show up, already know your name, which is a pretty cool thing. He also mentioned and essentially confirmed something that's been a rumor for quite some time now, that from at home, you're going to be able to customize your own It's a Small World doll online. And then when you go to the ride, if you're wearing your Magic Band, then it will show up in the ride. It'll pop up from somewhere behind some decorations or something. Your doll will be there. If it's, I'm not sure if it's going to be a physical one or just on a screen, but it'll it'll also pop up with any kind of a special message if you are celebrating something like a birthday or an anniversary or something. So sort of interactions going on passively as you go through various attractions. Of course, fireworks and parade seating will be able to be reserved. Also, Staggs did hint, though he said he's not making any announcements, but he hinted the possibility that the Magic Band may integrate with the Disney Infinity video game when it comes out later this year. Of course, that game comes out in August, so maybe the Magic Band's going to roll out this summer. I don't know. We'll see. So just a few little tiny details there from the world of MyMagic Plus and Magic Band. You could read more about it and actually see the whole 30-minute interview there with Tom Staggs over at InsideTheMagic.net. Now, last week on the show, I mentioned that there was so much going on that I couldn't possibly fit it all into last week's show, and I'm going to definitely include some really fun things this week from last week, and I'm talking about Spooky Empire's Mayhem and the first ever Halloween Extreme Convention. Both of those took place side by side over on International Drive here in Orlando last weekend, and there were some pretty exciting things going on there. Let me give you a quick summary of some of the items there, and then later in the show I'll be sharing that special guest that you heard from at the top of the show that I talked to there. But first up, a new haunted attraction is coming to Orlando. It was shown off really for the first time at the Halloween Extreme Convention from Legends Dark Amusements. It's called Legends, a Haunting at Old Town. It is, as they describe, new fear at Old Town. Old Town being the sort of amusement area with shopping and dining and that kind of thing just south of Walt Disney World, about 10 miles or so from Walt Disney World on Highway 192. This new Legends, a Haunting at Old Town is going to be a year-round haunted house with live actors, sets, special effects, all wrapped into a funeral parlor theme. They actually showed off a teaser video for the first time there at Halloween Extreme, featuring their lead character of Mr. Archibald Ashdown, who is the the head of that funeral parlor, and he does all kinds of nasty things to everybody, of course. And this is replacing the old haunted Grimm house at Old Town, which, from what I understand, this is going to be much, much better than that ever was. They're saying that sometime this summer is when it's going to open, possibly as soon as next month, July. It'll also include a gift shop as well as a Legends Ghost of Old Town Haunted History Tour. So stay tuned for more of all of that. Also, kicking off all of this, of course, from Spooky Empire's Mayhem was the annual zombie walk around International Drive. Always fun to watch the undead come alive and wander around the area. You can head on over to our website to see plenty of pictures and video of that. There was also the zombie prom for the first time. A lot of attention on that because it was a particularly unique event. Again, you can see lots of that over on the website as well. Some variety of celebrities from the years were at the convention. And then, of course, there was Halloween Extreme, which had a lot of interesting props and makeup and all kinds of things that you would want to use for home haunting. The guys from the Face Off Sci-Fi show. I think I said a lot of this on last week's show. But anyway, going a little bit more into the detail about what happened there, and specifically tying this back to the world of theme parks, back to Universal Orlando here, and specifically in the topic of Halloween Horror Nights. They're going to be sort of rolling out more terror than ever this year at Halloween Horror Nights. And again, I think I hinted at some of this on last week's show. But at the convention, they basically said that Legendary Truth is going to be coming back this year with some interactive features that are particularly interesting for those who want to have more Halloween Horror Nights than ever. Returning this year, as I just said, is Legendary Truth, which was an interactive experience, a sort of viral online campaign that first launched in 2008, brought fans together into something called The Collective. And at Halloween Extreme, the Legendary Truths, as the story goes, the Legendary Truths head Dr. Thorncastle was there, and other military-looking officials as well, as they sort of began the presentation before the masters, the creative minds behind it all from Universal Orlando, came out to talk at length about the experiences that have sort of led up in the world of interactivity when it comes to Halloween Horror Nights. They eventually led all the way up to last year's Horror Unearthed program, and actually showed some of my own photos and video while doing that, which was a lot of fun to see those in an official Universal presentation. There's merchandise that'll be rolled out in connection to sort of the future of those legions of horror that were introduced last year that'll be returning this year, not necessarily in the streets, but as part of the whole experience that everybody's had sort of loyalties to. And really the clincher here is that they are planning year-round experiences for Halloween Horror Nights, not necessarily in the park, but online. You'll be able to sort of interact with everybody and play along with the story as the year goes by throughout the entire year, not just around Halloween time, which is pretty exciting. And of course, eventually they want to work on making this a very immersive sort of interactive experience, in that you'll be able to tell Universal what you are scared of, what you're afraid of, how do you want to be scared, and they'll integrate that into the world of haunting and sort of customize that to you, which is pretty exciting. Sort of their version of Next Gen and MyMagic Plus, but on the horror fear side of things. If you want to read much more about this, head over to InsideTheMagic.net. I've got video of the presentation there and much more information. Also from the world of Howl-O-Scream over at Busch Gardens, Tampa, the creative team behind that event, Scott Swenson, Robbie Lepre, and Alex Crow were there giving their own presentation to Halloween Extreme, sort of hinting at some things that are coming up for Howl-O-Scream this year, though they didn't say anything specifically. Seems like the Dark Side of the Gardens theme is going to be disappearing this year after being first introduced in 2011. Or maybe get a new icon this year, new theme, something like that. The Nightshade Toy Factory Haunted House probably, or seems definitely going to be retired this year. It's been around for a number of years and finally disappearing. The Alone Haunted House concept apparently will be returning this year, though it may not be exactly the same. And this year there's going to be 2 stores for Howl-O-Scream instead of 1. So just some small minor tidbits about that from Halloween Extreme. Now let's jump coasts out to Disneyland, where, of course, last week we were talking about Mickey and the Magical Map, the new stage show in the Fantasyland Theater at Disneyland Park. Well, this week, for limited time magic from June 3rd, starting tomorrow through June 9th, anybody who goes to the Mickey and the Magical Map stage show, after the show, you can pick up a map of your own and then use that map to wander around the park to what they're calling secret spots, following show-inspired clues. And if you solve everything, you get a special reward at the end. I asked what that reward might be. They wouldn't tell me. It's a surprise, apparently, but we'll find out tomorrow. Also announced and confirmed this week is from Walt Disney Studios, the world premiere of The Lone Ranger is going to take place on June 22nd at the Disney California Adventure theme park. They're going to roll out the red carpet in the park, down the park's Hollywood Boulevard. The Lone Ranger's horse Silver will be there, along with an actual train engine that was built for the film. And tickets are on sale now at $1,000 each, and 100% of those proceeds are going to the American Indian College Fund. So Disney's not making money off of this for that $1,000 ticket, much like the previous Pirates premieres that they did at Disneyland. Anybody with a ticket will be able to walk the red carpet through Hollywoodland. You can meet and take pictures with celebrities and filmmakers. They're asking for no autographs, but pictures are fine. You will go to the premiere screening of the film inside the park. You'll have an assigned seat for that. The food that you're going to get is interesting. You're going to get a Subway sandwich, some popcorn, and a drink. Kind of odd to eat a Subway sandwich during a movie, but there it is. There's also going to be a party in Cars Land afterwards, a special performance of World of Color as well. The park that day is going to close at 10 p.m., but the party is going to take place after that until midnight. The World of Color special performance will be at 11:15 p.m. Now, everybody else, if you don't want to shell out $1,000 or you just don't have the money or you don't care to or whatever, you can still take part in these festivities a little bit if you want to show up early. You can grab a spot alongside the red carpet to watch the celebrity arrivals. You won't be able to go to the film or the after party, but you can at least see the celebrities and all the sights of all of that. You're allowed to line up behind the barriers on a first-come, first-served basis. The Mickey and Friends parking structure is going to open at 6:30 in the morning on June 22nd, and they're asking the guests don't line up outside California Adventure before 7 a.m. But then you can basically pick your spot and park there, park your butt there all day. And just wait until the premiere starts much later in the evening. Lots of controversy actually swirled around the Disney parks this week. Out at Disneyland, Mickey's Toontown area of the park was calmly evacuated a few days ago after there were reports of a small explosion. There were no injuries. Police and fire crews quickly rushed to the scene, evacuated the area as a precaution. As it turned out, there was some dry ice placed in a plastic bottle inside a trash can, which apparently is some sort of dry ice quote-unquote bomb. It's very small. Again, no injuries. LA Times reporter Alan Wolf just happened to be there when it happened, so he tweeted out a photo of sort of everybody calmly, slowly leaving the area. Later in the afternoon, Disneyland released the statement. This afternoon, a small bang was heard in a trash can at Mickey's Toontown. In abundance of caution, the area was evacuated. There were no injuries and no reported damage. We are working with local authorities who are now on site and reviewing. Shortly thereafter, they also said, review is complete. Mickey's Toontown has been deemed all clear by local authorities. Guests are welcome to return. Then, not too long after, Anaheim police arrested a Disneyland outdoor vending cart cast member. Not a guest, a cast member in connection to the incident. His name was Christian Barnes, 22 years old, from Long Beach, held on $1 million bail. And, those outdoor vending carts, they use dry ice to keep frozen foods cold. So certainly a connection there. He apparently has pled not guilty, and we'll see where the story goes from there. Meanwhile, out here at Walt Disney World, a grandmother found a loaded gun on her seat in the dinosaur attraction at Disney's Animal Kingdom. She, of course, turned the weapon over to a park attendant who gave it to authorities. The gun's owner was in the park, had a concealed weapons permit, and says he just simply didn't realize that you couldn't bring a gun into Disney's parks. Yeah. Those security checkpoints, well, they don't check your person. They only check the bags, of course. Well, this gun was not in a bag. It was concealed. Disney World, of course, prohibits anybody from bringing any kind of weapons there. And, well, there you go. Now you know. Don't bring a gun. I mean, you should have known that, really. Why would anybody bring a gun to Walt Disney World? I don't know. But anyway, there it is. More controversy here. Back out at Disneyland, the Today Show did some investigative reporting, sort of behind-the-scenes hidden camera of this notion of people hiring disabled tour guides. That is, handicapped tour guides who advertise their services online, be it Craigslist or wherever, saying, hey, I have a guest assistant card at Disneyland because I'm disabled. Come pay me. Come with me to Disneyland. We'll skip all the lines. Not cool at all. Today's Show investigated, showed that it was happening. It was true. Disneyland did respond to the Today Show's report, calling it deplorable, and said they are looking into this to remedy the situation, reevaluate their policies, etc., etc. So it seems like some good will come out of all of this. They have also said they will be banning people who continue this practice. Again, some good coming out of this. Deplorable is definitely a good word for it. Despicable, awful. It seems, why would you do that? Why would you anyway, it's obvious. That just simply shouldn't happen, and hopefully it won't be happening again in the future. Just a couple of more tidbits here. Eric wrote in to let me know that Disney has filed, this is the world of video games, Disney has filed for 4 new trademarks for the old game Maniac Mansion, one of my favorites from LucasArts. Apparently, one of these trademarks is for clothing. So Disney realizes that even though they closed LucasArts, there's still some important nostalgia there, that they are holding on to some great properties there. Sounds like they're not going to let it be forgotten, hopefully, that they're, maybe not creating some new video games out of it, but at the very least, if I can get a Maniac Mansion shirt, that would be cool. So we'll see where that goes. I had mentioned on last week's show that I hadn't heard about the Big Thunder pilot not getting picked up, but apparently Jeff wrote in with an article from Deadline that said, indeed, ABC opted to not pick up the show for based on Big Thunder Mountain. So after all of the hype for that, it's not happening. We're not going to see the Big Thunder Mountain show. And finally, in the world of movies, Disney has hired 2 directors for Pirates of the Caribbean 5. They are the directors of Kon-Tiki. They are Joachim Roning and Espen Sandberg, and that film will be coming out July 10th, 2015 worldwide. And that is it for your news from around the world this week. Got a double dose of tip for today this week because I got 2 in that were very much related, so I figured I'd share them. First up from Tom in Chicago. writes in, as we approach the warmer months of Orlando, keeping hydrated while enjoying Disney becomes a much more important part of your day. When it's hot and humid, the risk of dehydration and heat illness increases greatly, and that's because when the air is humid, sweat can't evaporate and cool you as quickly as it normally does, and this can lead to an increased body temperature and the need for more fluids. With this in mind, you should seriously consider bringing water with you into the parks. Bringing a water reservoir like a Camelback allows you to carry up to 2 liters of cold water, as well as hold your camera and sunblock for the whole family. I used one of these on my honeymoon to Disney last June, and it became a regular part of our routine during our trip. Just fill up the 2-liter water pouch and let it chill overnight in the room refrigerator, and then enjoy ice-cold water for at least the first 5 hours of your day, and refill at a drinking fountain in the park as needed. Keeping properly hydrated during the peak heat hours will make your day at Disney much more enjoyable. Along those lines, Blake from North Carolina writes in and says, my family's past visits to the parks were often marked with some degree of fatigue, headaches, and crankiness, all symptoms of dehydration. It was hard to drink from the fountains because the taste of the water isn't always that great, and purchasing water or other drinks can get expensive. So on this past visit, my family purchased filtered water bottles. You can get them rather inexpensively at most big-name stores. We recommend the Brita brand. And with these bottles, we could fill up as often as we wanted throughout the day from the fountains or even the bathroom sinks, and trust that the water would be safe and taste good. If you prefer your water ice cold, then most of the vendors are kind enough to provide a cup of ice. It was a lifesaver for us and helped us enjoy the parks much, much more. Tom and Blake, excellent tips. I've spent a number of days at the parks in the recent weeks. There's been a lot going on, and this weekend I was really starting to feel it. Going around Universal between Transformers and the Simpsons area, I was definitely feeling the heat was setting in. It is hot here in Orlando, and it's only going to get worse over the next couple of months as summer really sets in, especially as hurricane season just began. The afternoon rainstorms are really going to start happening, and yeah, the heat and the humidity can be brutal. Definitely important to keep yourself hydrated. Great tips there. Everybody else, email your tips into tips@insidethemagic.net. And now, before I bring on this week's special guest, I want to put in a quick word about capturing magic. This is a pair of iPhone apps that are the ultimate tool for documenting and recording the magic of your Disney vacation. Whether you're at Disneyland or Walt Disney World, Capturing Magic offers a helpful list of photo opportunities and memories to capture before, during, and after your trip. It is the perfect way to ensure that you don't miss any of those magical moments. While you're in the parks, the app is going to remind you of those desired photo ops that you've specified when you're near those locations, and then when you take a picture, use the app to mark off who's in the photo, what camera you used, and organize everything later, even emailing yourself a list of it all. The Capturing Magic iPhone apps are available now in the iTunes App Store. Now, as I said earlier, I went to last weekend, Spooky Empire's Mayhem Convention, and one of the special guests there was none other than the voice you heard at the top of the show, Pat Carroll. Amazing actress, and the original and only voice of Ursula from The Little Mermaid. Not only did I have a chance to sit down and chat with her for a little while, which I'll share in just a bit, but I also attended a fantastic Q&A session with her, which I'm going to share some clips of here first, because I did my interview after the Q&A, and I kind of followed up on it with further questions. But the Q&A was fantastic. It was hilarious. It has even sort of gone viral online. The host of the Q&A, the moderator, was Jim Doyle, who you might actually recognize from Mulch, Sweat, and Shears over at Disney's Hollywood Studios, but he was there on his own accord, just being part of the Spooky Empire world. He did a great job asking questions of Ms. Carroll there, and, well, let's just get to it. Let's hop over to Spooky Empire's Mayhem and just keep listening for a really awesome, special Haunted Mansion-related moment in the middle of this Q&A with Ursula voice, Pat Carroll.
The movie came out in '89. When did you hear about it first? About the casting and how did all of that begin?
Didn't it come out in '90? Because I was auditioning for it in '89.
I could be wrong.
Well,
Most likely. If you're telling me you were in it, I just watched it.
Don't trust me, I don't know what day it is. So the agent called me and asked me if I would like to audition. I said, like to. I have adored Disney products since I was a kid. I've watched everything. I love everything. Of course I'd love to audition. So they set it up. I went out and auditioned 3 times for singing, 3 times for voice. And I didn't hear, and I didn't hear, and I didn't hear. And I thought, well, guess I didn't get it. But about a year later, they called. They had hired another actress in the meantime. And she didn't work out, so they called back and asked me if I'd do it. Asked me, I would crawl on my hands and feet to do it. I love that role so much. What a marvelous role! How many times do you get to act way over the top? Not often, but with that girl, you couldn't help acting over it. I mean, she was written that way. And do you know what I thought of her as? An ex-Shakespearean actress who sold used cars.
Nice!
Makes sense, doesn't it? That's the way I like to play it, Jim. You know, but how often do you get a chance to play that kind of role? Number one, villains are the best characters in the world for actors. They are just... It is true because they do all the naughty things we all want to do and don't have the guts to do. You know, that's true. But when, as an actor, you get to do those big things and go big voice, that's pretty doggone exciting. And I should know.
And I bet people ask you to do the voice all the time. Once they know you are Ursula.
And I usually do it for them, because if you get a kid this big who doesn't believe you are, you have to prove it. And then you're scared them to death and they have to go home. But I'll never turn down a child, never.
Which leads me to a next thing. I have a favor to ask of you.
Yes, I'll do anything for you.
Right here, a little side to read as Ursula. Many of you may be familiar with this. This isn't something that Ursula says in any movie, but it is Disney related. It's should I give it away or should I? It's from the Haunted Mansion.
Let me cough. Welcome, mortals, to the Haunted Mansion. I am your host. Your ghost host. That can take it out of you. Our tour begins here in this gallery, where you see paintings of some of our guests in their corruptible mortal state. Kindly step all the way in, please, and make room for everyone. There's no turning back now. Your cadaverous pallor displays an aura of foreboding, almost as though you sense a disquieting metamorphosis. Is this haunted room actually stretching? Or is it your imagination? And consider this dismaying observation. This chamber has no windows and no doors, which offers you this chilling challenge to find a way out. Of course, there's always my way.
How do you feel now that Disney and the Little Mermaid is becoming more popular?
Well, I'm extraordinarily happy, because nobody deserves it more than the Disney studio. I happen to respect them beyond all measure. They are the fairest people to work for, and they make you work your hardest, which I happen to love. And I think that the success of this film is based on them watching it as if they were the Ford Motor Company, watching each car being made. They believe in quality, they stand for quality, and every time we would shoot something or do a recording, it would go upstairs to be approved, and if they didn't like it, it came back downstairs and we had to redo it. I happen to like that, because it means people are looking for as close to perfection as they can get.
On that thought, you have been the voice, and you're the only one that has done the voice since the movie has come out.
Yes.
You've done the subsequent sequel as quick trivia. What was the name of the sister? Morgana. That's right. You played the voice of Morgana, and then the well, that's true. You know, you were there.
I was there. Thank you for reminding me.
I'm glad to help.
Thank you.
The Kingdom Hearts games. I'm sure there's a lot of people. The attraction, the ride, and the show, and so many other things. The parades. Is there anything coming out that you could talk about, or that you even know of, that you have been asked to do recently?
Yes, in fact, I was in Jacksonville Beach during the month of April, and I did a recording for the 3D Little Mermaid coming out next year.
I knew that it was coming out, but I wasn't sure if they had you do any extra stuff. Was it for the menus or?
I think it was for the opening. Whether they use it or not, I don't know. But I recorded it, and Ursula and Flotsam and Jetsam are in a huge movie house, you know, bigger than this, and she is there for an evil purpose. She wants to get all the people to sign a contract with her like little Ariel did. So she is calling, she's being so charming. Oh, you And then all of a sudden, all these iPads go and fall right down. So there's an iPad for every person, and they're all standing there with face going, oh, look at them, and so Ariel just says, come on, boys, we've done our job, and out they go. Nice. I like it, I hope they keep it.
Can you sing something for us after the movie?
So embarrassed. The first time a 6-year-old kid asked me that, I went, I don't know what I said to the baby. I thought he was going to cry. You know, I've never learned it since. Isn't that dreadful? I make you a promise. If we meet here a year from today, I'll learn the lyrics. For unfortunate soul. That's it.
Once you do it, it's recorded. You don't have to do it again.
I had seen a few different versions of Ursula, and I was wondering if she always looks the way that she does now when you started that role, or if you had seen the different drawings that she started as and transformed through.
What a good question. I'll tell you, I think if we all had the chance to go to the Disney archives and study the early sketches of Ursula, and as she progressed, I think we'd all see a change in her, because I think the artists, as they go along, if they get imbued with a character, I think far more so, maybe musicians are second to that, they can improvise, and they do add things, and they do pluck a little here and tweak a little there. We might not know the difference, but they do, and I think it enhances it. I don't know for sure. I haven't noticed any drastic changes. I saw a few of the sketches for this 3D thing, and I think they're trying to, you know, jazz her up a bit. It looked to me like it was, but of course I wasn't wearing my glasses then. But I do think it's more than possible that that character, along with many other characters, changes in the artist's hands as they go along, and we may not see the finished product until the second or third release of the film, when they've had time to play with it and toy with it.
I'm not sure if it made it into, or they may have edited it out, but do you recall that Ursula was originally Triton's sister?
I don't remember that. I thought she was his love interest. I think she was in love with him. Doesn't that make sense?
That's a way different story.
Yeah, I do believe in one of the episodes, I don't think Ariel...
From the cartoon, from the series.
From the series. I think there was mention made of this, and this is why she's always so angry with him. Well, we can understand that, can't we? But I think that's the story, that they were lovers.
I had never known. Did anybody know that?
I knew that, yes. It's in the series that she's talking about. It does kind of a flashback and implies that Ariel is Ursula's daughter. Implies.
I didn't even know that.
I'm a giant Little Mermaid fan, so I've read the Christian Andersen version. I've done, all that kind of thing. But Ursula was implied to be Ariel's mother, which is why she wanted her back.
Isn't that something? Well, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? I'm going to look at the movie again. I want to see all those implications.
Do you watch it ever?
I watch it if, say, the children of friends ask me to watch it with them, because they hear that I'm scary, and they feel if I'm there, I won't be scary. So I do that. Also, I'm looking at it again before the 3D version, because I don't know how they're going to make it into 3D. I'm not a big 3D fan anyway, but particularly with Little Mermaid, why? I don't know why. But I am willing to jump into the experience and say, wow, that's great. But I have to look at the original again to see what difference will it make. This is just me. I'm not doing publicity for it. It's just me saying, will it make a great deal of difference to the good that they're doing it 3D? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that, so I'll have to see it in its original form and then compare it.
I think it'll be interesting, at least with the depth in that movie, because there's a lot of scenes where they did the multiplane. It wasn't exactly the same technology, but they had a great depth in that movie. What did you think when you saw it the very first time? The very first time you sat down in the animation studio and watched it?
I didn't see it in an animation studio. No? I saw it in New York City at a screening room. All by myself, because I was supposed to do a promotional tour and I had not seen the film. So I asked the powers that be, might I see the film before I go out to talk about it? I have seen it somehow. So all by myself, I sat in this tiny, probably sat 14 people, screening room, and that first thing of Ursula came on, and I slid off the chair. I literally slid off the, what the hell was that? I mean, that's scary. That old girl is mighty scary, but I was overcome with the music, because that is a Broadway score. I was overcome with the overwhelming, finite work they did on the film. I mean, those sea scenes were impeccable. The palace scenes were magnificent. The detail was, but they are known for that, aren't they? They don't give up and just make a big splash. They really get in there and dig. I sat there all by myself and I thought, oh, am I lucky to be in this or what? And I was. And I thought, oh, the music was so wonderful. And I tell you, I knew what was going to happen when Ariel hugged her papa at the end, I said, I'm going to see this in a theater because we're going to hear everyone in the house go, oh! And it happened. I swear to you, every time I've seen it in a theater, from a little girl to the big girls like me. Oh, that's a very touching moment. That's wonderful. And Disney has never shied away from sentiment, which I love, because we're living in the age of non-sentiment. We're living in an age of violence. But to see sentiment on a screen that's sincere, not hokey or made fun of, is so moving and so touching to me, because it's the greatest part of us as human beings, as kindness is. We could change the world if we did some kind act every day for somebody else we don't even know. I do believe that. And my mother told me before she passed away, she said, honey, do one thing for another human being every day of your life and you'll end up to be happy. I think she's right. That's what I think.
Definitely the best presentation I've ever gone to at a Spooky Empire event, though they've had many, many great ones. This was particularly fun, obviously, with Disney connections and just so much humor. And that Haunted Mansion bit, Ursula reading the Ghost Host lines, that's incredible. I posted that. It was the first thing I posted out of the whole weekend, and it has, I think, over 150,000 views on YouTube now. It made its way around and just keeps going up because, I mean, really, that's pretty darn awesome. So, as I said, I did have a chance to sit down with Pat Carroll after the Q&A and chat with her for just a little bit. And of course, she recorded that great intro for the beginning of the show, which I thank her very much for doing that. I'll add it to the growing collection of those. But now I do want to bring you my interview with some further questions about her tie-ins to the world of Disney and being Ursula and the rest. So back over to Spooky Empire's Mayhem we go with Pat Carroll. So I'm sitting at Spooky Empire's Mayhem with the incredible Pat Carroll.
Oh, you're too good, Ricky.
Certainly a familiar voice to anybody who is a Disney fan. You've been Ursula for many, many years out of The Little Mermaid.
And I'm very grateful for that privilege, believe me.
Well, I just was at your Q&A a little while ago, which was incredibly entertaining and hilarious.
Oh,
and
so
they already stole half the questions that I was going to ask you. But that's a good thing.
We'll see how serendipitous you are.
Yeah, so building off of that, you were talking, of course, about villains and how they're incredibly, likable for being dislikable sort of characters. Why do you think, people attach to villains so much, especially Disney villains?
I think because Disney has always had the great facility of taking a character who would be basically evil and somehow finding the core of their humanity, which makes them totally okay. And in Ursula's case, I think it was trebled by her being such a wild, outlandish creature.
Right.
Not an octopus, but a squid, because people confuse them, but squids have fewer tentacles. And I think that's why Disney did it, so it costs less money to animate.
You don't have all these wild things.
I must say I've always admired the Disney studio for finding the gem of humanity in any character, no matter how tatty. But they always find that something that makes it work, and you can eventually like that character. And I think that's particularly for children.
Yeah.
But I noticed that adults like it too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, here at this convention, it's all about sort of the horror genre, and it fits right in.
And look at people who are so fascinated, and like children, they want to dress up like horror creatures, because there are very few. We have reality shows. That isn't reality.
No.
Imagination is the only thing that makes for entertainment.
Now, have you, in going to various shows, have you ever encountered somebody dressed as Ursula?
Yes, I did, and it was at Disneyland, and it was a villains convention.
Oh, really?
And we had the most fun because at the big banquet they gave at the end of the convention, there were 30 Dalmatians with their lady leading.
Real Dalmatians?
No, they were all friends with Dalmatian costumes on, which I thought was even funnier.
That's great.
And there were at least 14 men dressed as Ursula.
Oh, wow.
Well, I screamed with laughter. And the thing I adored, there was a young father and his daughter who were Prince Charming and Cinderella. They won.
Really?
They won because they were so disarming and so adorable. And all the Dalmatians and all the Ursulas in the world did not win. But I laughed at the men doing Ursula. I thought that was hysterical. But the woman who conceived having the Dalmatian friends, I thought was awfully clever. I think I would have given her the prize. But that was such fun because people laughed and had a good time and they knew all the characters and they recognized all the characters. I think it's the universality of Disney characters that captures the imagination of everybody from children to grown-ups. And there's always one character in there that you can pick out, choose, and love to death.
There's a variety in every film.
Yes, absolutely. And I know because I just did a recording for it, they are putting out The Little Mermaid in 3D next year in 2014. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
I really cannot wait to see it because I don't know how they're going to do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, a 2D traditional movie converting into 3D. Well, they did it with Beauty and the Beast. And,
yes, they did.
And The Lion King, so
and so I've got to believe them. I will keep my faith and believe they're more than capable of it. But I'll tell you, my respect for the Disney studio, both as a creative entity and as a corporate entity, is of the highest. They conduct themselves in both areas on the highest level, and I've always admired that, and I shall continue to do so.
One more question for you.
Sure.
When you, I know you told the story earlier about getting cast as Ursula. It took a little while for you to get the role. When you finally did, how did you sort of bring that voice to life? What was your inspiration behind what you thought she should sound like?
Well, I knew she had to have a deep voice because the drawing, that figure would not have a high soprano. It simply wouldn't. And then I worked backwards and I thought, what did she do? And that's when the concept, because I wanted her diction to be superb, and I thought, yes, she was a Shakespearean actress. But now she sells used cars, because that was the kind of personality she had to me, as written.
Yeah.
And I think I pretty well kept along those lines in fleshing out the character. Of course, a lot of that is taken care of in recording sessions when you're directors. I have the two Johns directing me. When they decide they want another element, and you put it in, because you're the hired actress and they're the bosses. And they are distanced from you, so they can probably sense something I couldn't. And so any suggestions they gave me, I tried to utilize because I trusted them. And I knew they would only do the best that they could because they loved this project and they were so good doing it.
Well, likewise with the music, did you work with Alan Menken and Howard Ashman?
Yes, I did.
They fueled your...
Well, I'll tell you something. I went to Howard because I had a feeling he had a particular affinity for Ursula. And I said, Howard, could you do me a favor? I said, could you do Ursula's song for me because I have a feeling you have a particular twist on it. And if I may, if I could borrow some of it, I would appreciate it. So he did it for me. I'm so glad I asked him. In it is his. There were three things I stole from Howard Ashman that he performed when he did, and I asked him if he might, and he said, I was hoping you would. That really is essentially a director saying, I could have done it for you, but I'm embarrassed. But I appreciated that he allowed me to steal three of his personal effects from him, because I think he was right.
Yeah, well,
so I'll take any contributions I can get.
He was definitely a great talent for Disney.
Yes, he was. And he had that sense of snap.
Yeah.
Also, when he sang lyrics, his diction was so much that of a singer, and he could make a word come to life, usually consonant. But he was a gifted man. I was sorry to see him go so young.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me here.
You're very welcome. A pleasure.
The pleasure was definitely all mine in talking to Pat Carroll there. A wonderful woman, 86 years old, and she still has that much energy, and you can hear it in her laugh and in her voice that she definitely still has a lot of Ursula in her. It's wonderful that she's still doing that voice so many years later. Anytime Disney wants Ursula, they go to her. They always have, and that is a really wonderful thing. Now, if you want to see the entire Q&A, which was another probably 20-25 minutes longer, talking about other topics beside Disney, talking about her television career, working with amazing people over the years, Dick Van Dyke and even Boris Karloff, the original Frankenstein, and other great moments like that, head over to our YouTube channel, and again, at InsideTheMagic.net, look for our Spooky Empire Mayhem Roundup on there, and you can see and hear much, much more. Keeping with this topic, though, a quick question came in from Joe, who said, I just watched the video of the voice of Ursula reading the opening of the Haunted Mansion, and I was wondering what other villain voices would you like to hear reading the opening? I would love to hear Judge Frollo. How about you? A really great question there, Joe. I think any villain would work in that situation. I mean, really, it is, it's the Haunted Mansion, it's the ghost toad, it's supposed to be creepy, and that's what the Disney villains are. So if you think about it, I mean, the voice of Maleficent, Eleanor Audley, of course, would have been fantastic because she was in the attraction. She was the voice of Madame Leota, so there's definitely the connection there. And, going on from there, certainly other possibilities would be, Jeremy Irons as Scar, I think would be a really fantastic a version that Disney could create. Some have even said, actually, after watching this, that they could do like a limited time magic thing where you could swap out the audio for attractions and bring in other actors to do it just for, something like the Haunted Mansion or any other attraction. That I think that would be a lot of fun. I mean, what other, Dr. Facilier would be certainly for some whimsy to it and the voodoo aspect of it. And I don't think there is a villain that you could put into the Haunted Mansion that wouldn't fit in and really work out very well. So, with that said, I mentioned Eleanor Audley there. Of course, she did actually record those lines at one point.
Hey, 4472.
When hinges creak in doorless chambers, and strange and frightening sounds echo through the halls, whenever candle lights flicker where the air is deathly still, that is the time when ghosts are present, practicing their terror with ghoulish delight. Your ghost host will be here presently to conduct you on your tour of this sanctuary for the No, throw it out. I'm sorry. I won't even finish it.
There you go. Just a little bit of Eleanor Audley, the voice of Madame Leota, and Maleficent recording her own take on the Haunted Mansion Ghost Host, which of course ultimately went to Paul Frees, though I will say Ursula, Pat Carroll there, really did a phenomenal job reading that. So, a lot of fun there. Again, head on over to the website for even more from Pat Carroll from the Spooky Empire Mayhem Convention. And now, before we do a little bit of listener feedback here to round out the show, I want to put in a quick word about touringplans.com. If you want to save time by avoiding crowds and long lines on your Walt Disney World, Disneyland, or Universal Orlando vacation, touringplans.com is the solution for you. Touringplans.com has everything you need to plan your trip, including a crowd calendar for the best days to visit, mobile wait time app for personalized, computer-optimized touring plans. It's the guide that you want to go to skip those lines while you're in the parks. You can check it out at touringplans.com today, and if you use discount code ITM, you will save 20% off and start planning your stress-free vacation today.
Hey, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hi, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky. Ricky, this is amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Inside the Magic listener feedback.
Once again, we are running long on this week's show, so not a lot of time for listener feedback, so I'll do just a few emails here and continue to let them pile up. Eventually, I'll get to that sort of listener feedback exclusive show someday. Maybe I'll even have to do a separate show just to do that. Anyway, Zemmer writes in and says, there seems to be a trend in theme parks ever since the Wizarding World of Harry Potter opened in 2010 that is an immersive experience. We're no longer talking about a new land or attraction that is reminiscing of a film or a franchise, but a whole land that is advertised as being within the universe of that film, such as the new Simpsons land. I realized that, or the Transformers ride, I realized that when the Autobot on one of the screens in the queue says, "What do you think this is? A theme park?" With more and more lands and attractions in theme parks, other than Disney taking on the immersive approach, do you think Disney will have trouble getting their share of visitors? Well, no. I think Disney has been doing this for years, certainly creating these lands, and it's sort of an interesting thing to think about here. Yes, you're right. Between sort of, you think about Antarctica and SeaWorld creating their new realm and new Fantasyland with these larger areas surrounding these attractions. They're not just one-off attractions. Even Transformers, it is a big gray building, certainly in the middle of Universal Studios Florida Park, but there's more than that. There's going to be, there's a shop connected to it. There's very elaborate meet and greets nearby, and they're building some other stuff that we don't even know what it is quite yet. It's not exactly a Transformers land, but it is a huge, huge area that they actually utilize the the show building to become part of the show there. It looks like the facility that houses the Transformers. It is sort of a themed area, if you will. I mean, really, it's a giant building, but yes, and certainly The Simpsons, as you mentioned, and the future, looking ahead, Disney's working on Avatar. They did Cars Land, and of course Harry Potter in both parks over there at Universal as well. But I was wondering the same thing, and I've actually asked a number of people over the last few years who have been working on these projects. When I interviewed Imagineers about Cars Land, when I've talked to people about Harry Potter, etc., I asked, is this the future of themed attractions? Is this the future of theme parks? And their answer has been the same across the board, that it completely depends on the project. If a project warrants this whole world where you want to eat it, you want to drink it, you want to touch it and smell it and just be part of it, then yeah, they'll create all of this. It is no longer sort of we just need to stuff that in a dark ride somewhere. They want to create the whole world. But if it's something simpler, like for instance, Despicable Me over at Universal opened up, and that it's just a motion simulator. It's nothing. It depends on what it is. There's a lot being built. There's a lot going in both directions, and I don't think every attraction is going to be these immersive areas. I think there's still room for, here's a facade, here's a ride, go enjoy, and that's it. They don't need all of that, but it just, it depends on the franchise that they're building off of, or even the new story. You certainly can look at Hong Kong Disneyland. Not only did they build Mystic Manor, but they built Mystic Point, an entire new land for the park just to support the story of that attraction. So that worked there because they created this original story that they wanted to reach out into a whole new sort of expansion of the park. And I like it. I certainly enjoy exploring these areas. Sometimes I find the area to be more enjoyable than the actual ride itself. So it's an exciting thing, I think. And as far as your question, is Disney going to have trouble getting their share of visitors? That's a different subject altogether. I could go on for a very long time about the direction of Walt Disney World versus the other parks. And I posted on Facebook yesterday how Universal is getting me really, really excited. I'm a big Transformers fan. Love the new ride. I took my picture with Doc Brown in front of a DeLorean yesterday. Yeah, I know the Back to the Future ride's gone. That's sad. But still, to have that character in Back to the Future is one of my favorite things in the world. To be able to do that is a great experience. The whole new Simpsons area, yeah, it's a little, a few years late, but everybody still wants to go to Moe's Tavern. What's coming for Harry Potter, even though I'm not that big of a Harry Potter fan, is still very, very exciting. And Universal's doing a lot of really great things, and I think there's going to be some attendance number shifts as they open the next phase of Potter. And Disney, while still will definitely hold on to that top spot for a long time, it's going to get closer and closer to where other parks are going to start to really eat into that, and we're going to see hopefully some answers from Disney, not just Magic Bands and MyMagic Plus, but a whole lot more. Anyway, I could talk about this forever and ever. In short, no, I don't think Disney's going to ever have trouble getting their share of visitors, but they may lose a day or two off of those visits. Whereas, somebody might say, hey, we're going to go on a 5-day trip to Disney. Suddenly, maybe that becomes a 3-day trip, and then 2 of those days are spent in other parks. And that's a very important point. Continuing on that topic, Kitty wrote in and says, great coverage of Universal's new Simpsons area. After watching your video, I came to a new opinion on the difference between Universal and Disney. Universal gives people what they ask for, and Disney tells people what to like. When The Simpsons was at its peak, every fan talked about how cool a Simpsons-themed land would be. When Harry Potter movies showed us what their world looked like, then fans would talk about how cool it would be to visit, and in both cases, Universal gave us what we asked for. But consider Disney. Have you ever heard somebody say they wish they could visit Radiator Springs? Have you ever talked to an Avatar fan and said they could wish they could visit Pandora? Probably not. I do believe the Imagineers are better at realizing these lands, and I have faith that Pandora will be interesting, but like Cars Land, it's a place nobody actually asked for, and that's a bit disappointing because with franchises like Marvel or Star Wars now in their pocket, it would be better to get stuff that we ask for instead of stuff we are told we like. Really great distinction there, and I hope Star Wars is the answer. I have to imagine that they are working on some major Star Wars concepts there behind the scenes. There's got to be a Star Wars land, Star Wars theme park, Star Wars something coming down the line. That is too big to ignore, especially with the 3 movies that'll be coming out, the new trilogy. They've got to tie it all in together, and I have faith that, they're not just going behind the scenes and be like, no, we don't care about Star Wars, we're just going to work on Avatar. No, there's no way. They realize they have Star Wars, and even Marvel. They are working on those Marvel attractions, just Disney takes their time. They're not cranking things out like Universal is. We're going to see those things a few years from now. It's not going to happen overnight, but I have a feeling it's going to, shift at some pretty amazing things coming up in the next few years. But it is an interesting observation as far as what people know they want and see something, they're like, wow, that's amazing, versus sort of Disney saying, yeah, this is going to be cool, you come see it. I definitely never thought I would step into Radiator Springs or even care, but Cars Land is amazing. And I agree, whatever they build for Avatar, probably also going to be amazing whether you like Avatar or not. So, looking forward to it, whatever it is. And we'll wrap up listener feedback there for now. I promise for the many, many, many of you, I'm just scrolling through the list of emails. I've got at least 50 emails here in the queue that are waiting to be addressed from the last few weeks. I've tried to address sort of the more timely things right away. But anyway, I will definitely go into these sometime soon in some way, just not this week, because that's it for your listener feedback for now. And that will do it for show 426. What a guest this week, right? Pat Carroll, that is so awesome. I've talked to the voice of Jafar before, which was pretty cool. Now Ursula. I think it's time to get Jeremy Irons on the show, huh? We got and all of the other villain voices over the year. Maybe that'll be the goal here now, is to interview every Disney villain that's still around, of course, possible. I think that'd be pretty cool. Eventually, no rush. Anyway, of course, head over to InsideTheMagic.net to check out all of more from that, from the Q&A with Pat Carroll, from Spooky Empire's Mayhem, from Halloween Extreme, and also from all the other excitement for the last few days. I mean, Transformers, I've got a complete look inside that whole thing over at Universal Orlando, as well as the new Simpsons area over there, which is awesome. I can't wait to get back over there and try more of the food and drinks. I had a great time there for a few hours yesterday when it opened, including a fun little opening moment featuring Homer and Marge. It was kind of impromptu. I don't think they really planned it, but it happened, and it was funny. So go check that out as well. And, of course, I do want to thank Magical Travel for sponsoring this week's show. Magical Travel is who you want to contact. MagicalTravel.com when you're planning a Disney trip. And while you're doing that, touringplans.com. Make your trip a little bit easier by trying to get your way around those lines in an efficient and organized way. Use code ITM for 20% off there. And then you're in the parks, you're skipping lines. Capturing Magic is what you're going to want to use on your iPhone to sort of capture all those magical moments. And don't forget any of it. Search for Capturing Magic in the iTunes store. And of course, once again, between episodes of this show, visit our website, InsideTheMagic.net. You'll find links. Every show has show notes. That includes background music listings, links to all the stories that I talk about, and videos, and plenty more. So head over to the website for all of that, in addition to links for Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and all that good social media stuff. Our YouTube channel is just taking off like crazy. So many hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of video to enjoy there, and lots more fun to enjoy. So thanks, of course, to all of you for listening and for watching each and every week. I continue to do the show because you all send in so many nice notes telling me how much you love it. So thanks again, and have a magical week. Bye.
Just a dream away.